Do you love pumpkin pie but find the perils of a soggy crust to be a bit intimidating? Fear not, because today we're gonna make an amazing silky pumpkin pie with a crust that's crisp throughout. Hey, you're watching Preppy Kitchen, where I, John Cannell, teach you how to make delicious homemade dishes for your family and friends. This pumpkin pie will be spinning onto your plate in no time, so let's get started. First off, what might be the most important part of your pumpkin pie? The pie crust. I whipped up a batch of my really easy and favorite crisp butter crust, which you can click up here for, but you can definitely use your own family favorite or even a pre-made pie dough. Here's the deal though. What is the bane of a pumpkin pie? It is a soggy crust, and it's not gonna happen here because we're gonna blind bake it. First off, let's roll out the dough though. Little sprinkle of flour. The key to rolling out any pie dough is just to keep it moving. You wanna make sure that it is floured and movable. Otherwise, it's gonna be a frustrating mess. We're gonna roll this out to a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch. I'm using like a 9-inch or 9.5 inch deep dish pie. So I want to have maybe like a 12-inch round. So here I've rolled it out a little bit. I'm gonna do a bit more flour and flip it upside down. When you make a pie dough, you do have to chill it so it comes together. But after it's chilled, you have to let it sit out on the counter. So take your chilled pie dough out, let it sit out for maybe 7 minutes, depending on how cool it is. You want to be able to roll it out like I am, but you don't want it to crack and you don't want it to be ooey gooey. We're almost there. That looks good. This is my dish. You can see it's got a little bit extra. Now we're going to collect our pie dough. I'm just gonna roll it onto my rolling pin really loosely. Now let's transfer it into the pie dish. When I put this pie crust in, I am easing it in like this from the outside, so I'm pressing in, I'm not pushing down. We're gonna trim the excess now, and kind of up to you. It depends on how much of an edge you want, but I'm just gonna leave like about 1 inch of excess from the inner edge. All right, now we're gonna fold the edge in like this, so fold it under. You could do whatever edge you want, but my favorite is just using your thumbs and index finger to kind of create that nice, super rustic look. If you wanna be just a bit more fancy, you can start pinching it out like this, and it gives it, I don't know, just a little bit something extra. Pinch, pinch, pinch. This pie is nice and pretty, so what we're gonna do now is pop this into the freezer for about 15 minutes to firm up, and while it's freezing, set that oven to 425 because this is gonna get baked hot. Oven is nice and hot. This is really firm, so now it's time to blind bake the crust, and here are the steps. You'll want a sheet of parchment paper, you'll want some tin foil, and, oh, it's called aluminum foil, and you're also gonna want either some pie weights like I have. These are ceramic weights that you can reuse over and over again, or you could use dried beans. Those work totally fine as well. We're gonna use our parchment paper as a shield between the foil and the pie crust. I'm gonna pretend I'm making a snowflake back in elementary school. There we go. Okay, place that in there. And here's the deal. This is slippery. This is gonna get really soggy for a moment while it's baking, and it could slide down. So I'm using a double layer of foil and just placing that in here. Gently press that foil against the edge. You wanna have that foil gently supporting the pie dough and keeping it up during that taxing baking process. Kind of like calling your best friend when you're having a bad day. All right, spread the weights out. This is gonna bake at 425 for 10 minutes. Then you'll see what happens next. While my crust is blind baking, we're gonna make the filling, and here's the other thing that's so important. You have to warm the filling. It is just beyond. You cannot get a perfectly baked pumpkin pie if the filling is ice cold. It just doesn't work that way. Open up that can of pumpkin puree, not pumpkin pie filling, and this is a 15-ounce can, in case you're wondering. I'm not sponsored in any way for these videos, but I do like using Libby for my pumpkin puree. It has a wonderful bright color and the taste is better. I've tried some of the supermarket brands and I just wasn't happy about it. This is a special occasion and I want it to look and taste the best. Like you can see, look at this color. so much beta carotene. Another thing is if you're using a pumpkin puree and you're like, oh, this looks kind of like not perfectly pureed, go ahead, just pop the puree into the food processor and whiz it up. You'll get a smooth, silky result. This, however, looks great. To the pumpkin puree, I'm gonna add half a teaspoon of salt, 3/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar. You could use light or dark, it's up to you. And now it's time for the spices. We're gonna have half a teaspoon of cinnamon. You can be a bit more generous if you want. 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, adds a nice bite. I'm gonna do 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. Freshly grated nutmeg is one of the small joys in life, so you've gotta try it out. All you need is a microplane or a rasp and some nutmeg. And if you're like my mom, you're not a fan of nutmeg, go ahead and sub in some allspice. It is also amazing. Last but not least, a pinch or about 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cloves. We're gonna whisk this up and then we're gonna bring it on to heat. So here's the deal. We're gonna mix this up and warm it, but we are also gonna warm the milk and cream. So into a little bowl or measuring cup, 1 cup of heavy cream and half a cup of milk. I'm using whole milk, but you could use 2% or whatever you have on hand. Microwave this for about 1 minute to 90 seconds. We wanna warm it up too because right now it's ice cold. Remember, cold is your enemy for this pie. You want everything nice and toasty. So into the microwave and then this goes on heat. My timer just went off. Let's go to the next step in our blind bake. This comes out hot. Turn your oven down to 375 now. Okay, just let this cool down for a minute because it is like hot, 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 hot. Carefully take out your tin foil, aluminum foil, sorry. Okay. All right, here's the deal, look inside. It's starting to puff up because of all that steam. So what we have to do is dock the crust. You gotta just like really pierce the crust to let the steam out because it'll kind of self-heal. The nice part is this outer ring is completely baked and holding everything in place now. So even though this is kind of loosey-goosey down below, this outer ring is preventing it from slouching. This is gonna go back into the oven at 375, but you can see this is looking pretty golden already, so we're gonna be protecting it with some foil. And I like to reuse my tenting too. There's no reason to throw it away. Fold it in place there, crimp the edge off, and right now, the outer ring is protected, the inside can get nice and baked through. Back into the oven for about 10 minutes or until you see that bottom is dried out. My milk and cream is nice and toasty, so let's warm up the pumpkin and whisk it over heat. Medium low, please. Break up that sugar, whisk it up, and you're gonna see that in addition to warming the pumpkin puree, you're also really working the sugar in and basically melting it. So it's one nice mixture. You'll be mixing this for maybe like 3 to 5 minutes, just until you can see that plop. There we go. Those are those little burps that we're looking for. So we can take this off heat now. It's super toasty. Man, that smell is beyond amazing. You gotta make it this way. Let's put this aside for just a moment and we're going to just break and beat 3 eggs that are also room temperature. While you're whisking, here's the deal. You want a silky smooth custard. You don't want to have any scrambled eggs. This is hot, this is warm. What we're gonna do is temper the mixture, so just drizzle in a little bit of milk while you're whisking and you're warming up the mixture. And once that's good, just go ahead and add the rest in. This is good. We have our mixture, this warm, eggy, creamy milk. I'll bring this back over here and just whisk that into the pumpkin now. In you go. Whisk that in there. And the only thing I want to tell you is to make sure you get all those corners and really have a nice, smooth, homogeneous mixture. So there's some little pumpkin bits lurking on the bottom. Just find them with your whisk and mix it all nice and through. My mixture is mixed. The timer just went off, so let's take a look at the crust and see where it's at. That's looking good. So right now, take the foil off, and you can see it's a little bit puffy, but we just have to dock the sides a bit and push them back. If you want to see, you could probably see better than I can, but here, look at the bottom. How does that look? Nice and golden, right? This is gonna be so crisp, even 2 days after. So you can have this pie hanging around and the leftovers are fantastic. While I wait for this to cool down, I'm just gonna mix up a really quick egg wash just to get the edge because I want it to look perfect. So for the egg wash, which is optional, but it is just the crowning glory to any pie to have a wonderful, beautifully golden, glossy crust, you'll want 1 egg, doesn't matter the size, because you'll have a lot extra. A dash of cream, you could use up to a tablespoon. And if you don't want to use cream, you could use milk, you could use water, they all work fine. Give it a nice, thorough mix. You do not want to have any leathery globs of egg white in your crust. It's not cool. There we go. We have a nice, beautiful color. I'm just going to brush the edge before the filling goes in, because if you do it the other way around, you can get like a little glob of egg wash on the filling, and that will mar your beautiful surface. Okay, this looks beautiful. This is fine to use for your omelet tomorrow, so just put it in plastic, save it for later. And now, pour that in there. Nice. I'm gonna show you one of my blogger tricks. So first of all, just give it a little bit of a smooth because it has some texture, which I don't like. But what's all this? What's all this nonsense? They're air bubbles, and I'm not happy with them because instead of having a glossy, smooth surface like you would see in a magazine, you'll have like little pock marks, which is not my favorite thing to see. So I'm gonna use a heat gun, but you could just use a hair dryer. Let's just pop it and you'll see what happens. This is like an ultra hair dryer. Don't use it on your head. Look at all these horrible little bubbles. Let's pop them. What? Look at that magic. Just give it a little bit of a once over because there's some deeper bubbles hanging out in there. And it's as easy as that. You could definitely use a hair dryer instead, but I love the smooth surface you get. It's the little things in life, right? Tent it carefully. Just fold that edge over. We're gonna protect the crust because it'll probably bake the entire time with the tenting on. Although if you see that it could be a bit more golden, just take the tenting off in the last 10 minutes of the bake. This is ready to go into the oven at 350 for about, I would say 45 to 55 minutes. That's the time where you're gonna wanna check on this, see if it's set, and when it's set, it'll have a little bit of a wobble in the center, but it'll be mostly set. You don't wanna overbake it because no matter what you did beforehand, you could crack it and it just won't have that luscious, silky texture that we all love in a pumpkin pie. Once that pie is ready, jiggles just a little bit in the center, go ahead, turn the oven off, crack the door open, and let it cool for about 30 minutes in the oven. That way it will have a wonderful, slow warming and no shocks of cold to make it crack. I cannot tell you how happy I am with this pie. It came out just as I hoped it would. Silky on the inside. I could tell when I cut it that it was really silky, but the crust is perfectly baked throughout and so flaky too. It's gonna be amazing. Before I take a bite, if you like this recipe, check out my holiday pie playlist. All the favorite holiday pies that you can make with confidence, and they'll be delicious too. Now, it's time for a bite, and yes, we're eating it by hand. That's truly like filling my heart with joy. It's like hitting all the buttons, washes of neurochemicals going over. You've gotta make this recipe. If you can bake, you gotta make it. Okay, if you like my recipes, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next pie video.